Hey friends, welcome back to the mat. Thanks so much for being here. Yes, my voice is still, I don't know, tweaky, hoarse, weird. It's a little better than it was last week, right? But it's still hoarse. And guys, I don't even want to digress. I don't know what's going on with it. My apologies for the way that it sounds, but we're just gonna have to power through because I don't know what's going on. I've gone from the flu, as you guys know, I fought that terrible flu for just the last couple of months, to now this hoarse voice, and it just won't go away. So I don't know. We're gonna power through though. I'm gonna give you guys a beautiful minimalist necklace idea today, and this is gorgeous. So easy, simple, and perfect for the warm weather that is upon us. I am in my Lilac Dreams April sparkle bag, but you can use anything you have from your stash. So I'm gonna talk you through this cold bead cone in a minute. But basically, guys, I'm just using some random beads that I selected. A couple are bicones are from my stash, a couple of rondelles in the different shades of the purple. I'm going to be using some 22 gauge craft wire for my tassel, the two-tone paperclip chain, and I cut each piece of that 9 inches. I'm using the clasp. You can use any clasp, the flower clasp that came in the bag. And then I've got some 4mm jump rings in gold for the closure. I have a 6mm jump ring, and I'll explain that in a minute as well. And then we have this selection of beads, a couple of the rice beads. These are the 6x4s. There is a 3mm gold spacer, and then another 6mm bicone, and then the check glass bellflower. So this is basically the makings of a super easy minimalist necklace. Now, a couple of quick schematics. You can totally personalize this necklace, guys. Literally is the coolest thing. That's why I want to show you this, because these bead cones make great tassels. Now, you guys got a set in gold. I'm using silver, but it is the identical bead cone, and they're filigree. I'm going to show you and tell you a couple of things about these. They make great tassel earrings. That's why I gave you a pair, or a cold tassel necklace. And this with your chain. I cut 2 9-inch pieces because I want my tassel to be laying a little bit longer, but you can cut that to any length. With that said, you also can cut one continuous link of chain. I chose to break up my chain because I thought, well, I'm either going to attach a jump ring, and that might lay really pretty with one gold and one silver link on the bottom here, with a small jump ring that kind of keeps it in scale, and we'll wire wrap our tassel to that, or we will end up wire wrapping our tassel directly to the chain. I guess we're about to find out which one it is. And then my tassels, friends, I cut 6 1-inch pieces, and this is, again, totally make this your own. Cut this any length, and I just wire wrapped, I'll pull you in, all of my selection of beads to the bottom of each piece of my chain. And again, I did 6. You can do 4, 5, 6, 10, however many pieces of chain will fit through the cone. With the paper clip, quite a few, probably 10 to 12 pieces, if you wanted a really full tassel, will fit through this particular cone. And that's all I did. Wire wrapped, do simple wraps on the bottom of my 6 pieces of chain. Now, the next thing I did, guys, was a simple wire wrap loop on my wire. And my 22 gauge wire, now again, because we're getting into our mixed metals, that's why I've kind of mixed up all my findings, is so you can use any kind of wire, any color wire. Gold or silver would be great. You can use 20 or 22. This is 22 gauge. I cut about around an 8-inch piece. Okay, and I just did a wire wrap loop with a medium loop. Now that's where I want to get into some of the schematics about how cool this necklace is to really personalize and make it your own. Now you can have as much or as little. Let me get things in front of me here. Of your tassels out below your cone, outside of your cone that you want. You can have like more tassel coming out of the bottom of your cone or less. And how you accomplish that is a couple of different things that you can do. You can either make your loop, like if you want way more chain, you can make your loop way bigger, like the size of the bottom diameter of this cone, right? So you have a lot longer chain, or just do whatever size loop you want and cut more chain, less chain, or the opposite would be true if you want less of a tassel hanging out of the bottom of the bead cone. It's completely up to you, and you'll see it'll make sense once we got this constructed. The second thing that I want to point out with this particular bead cone is the filigree. So whether you're using bead stringing wire or craft wire or whatever, you may notice that it's going to want to, your wire is going to want to go through the filigree. So I'm going to help that cause by using some of these other beads. So that's where these guys are going to come into play. Now, the bell, I'm not sure if I'm going to put on the top or not, but he's on standby for that reason. And so we're just really going to construct it now. So instead of, guys, making the typical, let me push you in. You know how we do this typical tassels where we will usually feed all of our chain within the loop? Well, in this case, what I am going to do, because it's such tiny chain, I am going to actually feed all of my chain now on my wire on top of my loop. And what I'm going to find that, what I found and what you will find will happen if you do it this way is really cool. It actually helps to center your chain on your tassel, so it makes it all really cascade like it's already perfectly centered. So that's why I did that. Cool little trick for you. So there's my loop, and I made just a medium loop, okay? And so now what I'm going to do is I am going to feed on my tassels in no particular order. And one more. And now this is what I have. So now do you see how all that is just laying on top of my loop? And what's going to happen is as soon as we put up in the bead cone, I know it's, let me pull you back up. It's kind of hard to see, but can you tell that it's already automatically all centered? It's really, really cool. So, cool little trick. We can do it that way as well. And because we're going to wire wrap it on top, we're not going to be worried. Plus, what beads in the middle, that's not going to fall off. So now, what I'm going to decide is what beads are going to go inside this cone. Now, what's cool is the color of your beads will show through because the bead cap, bead cone is filigree, right? So that's kind of cool. But I just need to figure out, oops, I just did that the wrong way, how many beads I need inside this cone and how much of my tassel is going to come out of the bottom. So now I'm going to put this wire and feed it right through that cone. And now I'm going to pull that bead cone down and see that that last rice bead lands right there. Okay, the 6 millimeters right here. And that's how much tassel I have outside of my cone. Okay? So that's just a total design preference. So you can make this your own. So I have this other bead, and what I'm thinking is I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to put it on there, but I'm going to put it on second. So these rice beads, because they're thinner, will be more towards the top of the cone. So I have just a little less tassel coming outside of my bead cone. Or, yeah, my bead cone. Okay, and so now I've got, that's what I've got. Okay, and now I'm going to feed this right on. Now what I'm going to do, guys, is you'll notice that your chain is going to want to get all caught in all of these areas of the filigree. So what I'm going to do is first I am going to really make sure that I'm snugging down my bead cone. You can see where that 6mm bead of mine is. It's right here. And that my tassel simply looks the way that I want it to look. And as soon as I've got that nice and snug, and I will get my pliers involved, I'm going to kind of put my pliers right on top, holding my wire to kind of push this down, okay? And now what I'm going to do, now that it's kind of where it needs to be, I am going to take these bottom little prongs that are all around the whole bottom, and I am going to, see, my chain's wanting to get caught all up, and that's normal. So I am now going to take and push all of my prongs, just gently squeeze them in. And it's going to hug this chain and make the tassel behave a little bit better, basically. And you can, you know, move them around. Just be gentle with them because they will break if you're too aggressive. So that's all I'm doing. It's just literally, yep, you moved on me again. And see that chain's wanting to come out there. So I'm just basically pressing these prongs in to where they're just as snug. And also that's going to help them to not like catch on your clothes or whatever. So now that is what I have. Now this piece of chain over here, he's wanting to come out. So let me get that tucked in. It's easier to do it, obviously, up and down here. And you can kind of see a little peekaboo of my beads through there. So it's really fun to put some colored beads in there. Okay, and now I'm going to determine whether or not I want my check glass on top or not. I wasn't sure if it would look right. Let's take a looky-poo here. Yeah, I think it's, no, it does not, it's not doing anything for me. Okay, great. So now we're just gonna do a simple wire wrap loop. So I'm gonna put my pliers really firm on top of that bead cone. Again, making sure everything is just the way I want it to be. Put a bend in my wire. And now I'm going to do a wire wrap loop. But what I'm going to do, and we don't need a big one, obviously, because we've got small chain. I'm going to put my chain on this first to see if we're going to put this right on the chain or we need to put this on the jump ring. So I'm just going to do my loop first. Make sure that's straight on my wire. And then we open the door, crank that door open, and I'm going to take either side of my chain and simply feed it down my wire. Let it drop into my wire wrap loop. And again, I'm going to be intentional. So this has gold on the bottom of this side. This side has some silver. So I'm going to intentionally do that like that and see if that will work. And I think it will. Yes, it will. Perfect. So we'll just close that up. And I think what I'm going to do, guys, is a bit of a messy wrap here. And the reason is so that this is not only to fill up my gap here, but I kind of want my wrap to be a little bit on top of that bead cone to just make sure that this does not continue to move. So because I've got a lot of wire here, I can use my hands for this. Just going to wrap it around. And now it's met the top of that bead cone. And I'm going to go down over one time over that cone. And now I'm going to kind of come back up, doing a bit of a clean / messy wrap. And that's what I've got. And now I'll trim that excess. We'll put the clasp on the back. And so fast and so easy, guys. Tuck that in first. Perfect, and that's now what I have. So pretty. And I'd already put my toggle on one side. I will grab my 4mm gold jump ring to put the other part of my toggle on. And voila, we have a lovely minimalist chain necklace. Let me untwist things here. So we did not need that 6mm. But I hope you guys enjoyed and are inspired. This is such a great necklace design that you really can make your own. There's so many different things that we can do and a lot of different types of findings, sizes, colors of findings that we can use with a necklace like that. Making sure that's nice and closed. Okay. And pull you up. And make sure I'm nice and secure there. And there we go. Put that through. We're all done. Super cute. And you could do the exact same thing and make yourself a pair of tassel earrings. I mean, they are so light. This is so lightweight, guys. So lightweight. So I make a great pair of earrings as well. And again, cutting my individual pieces of chain and wire wrapping that. Notice it just hangs beautifully. Hangs just lovely. And there we go. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you in the next one. Be blessed, my friends.